Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Gilbert Smith, and welcome to Bradenton Kiwanis Club. Thank you for being here. A special welcome to our guest. It's great to have you. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now let's sing our country 'tis of thee. Country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring. Ed Cleveland, would you come up to give our invocation? And when you do so, you can remind everybody about our program next week.
Let's pray. Father, we're thankful for the opportunity to gather together as Kiwanians. We're thankful for the opportunity to be a Kiwanian and what we can do for our community and for the children within it. We pray now, Father, your blessing upon our time together, for our speaker, that we'll hear great things about things that are coming and helping the children of this community. Pray, Father, for the food that we use before us. Bless it to our good and us to your service. In Christ's name we'll ask it. Amen. And as long as I'm here, go ahead and have a seat, folks. Are we done, Judge?
Yes.
Okay, have a seat. I feel like a pastor. Next week is our annual Veterans Recognition Luncheon. We have a couple tickets left over. We expect a full house. If you are a member of the Armed Forces or have been a member of the Armed Forces, please wear some clothing that's representative of your branch of service. We will have a great day. Charles and METV will be here with some special programs. The judge and MAC have worked diligently to put together a program recognizing members of the Bradenton Kiwanis that have or are currently serving in the Armed Forces. It is incredible. It's going to be great. And it's amazing the number of people that Bradenton Kiwanis has had in the Armed Forces over the course of our 99 years that we've been here. It's going to be a great program. It's always wonderful when we bring all these veterans into the house to tell them thank you for your service. We have a new challenge coin for them to give that we're giving to them next year or next week. And for those of you who have volunteered to help out, we appreciate your help. It's going to be a great day, and we'll look forward to seeing those of you that are going to be here and the guests that you're bringing as veterans. Thank you, Judge.
And thank you, Ed. And I do want to mention that the speaker at Veterans Appreciation event is going to be Judge Lee Hayworth, and it should be very exciting. It's going to be a great program. I do want to mention a couple of things before we begin, and I know we have a lot of first responders here. We have it with us today, and she's a part of our program. Our 2004-2005 president of Bradenton Kiwanis, Connie Shingledecker, who was with the Sheriff's Office, Manatee County Sheriff's Office. And for you younger people, she was with the Sheriff's Office over 40 years. So she has been in our community for some time. It's very exciting to have her here. I have said this, and I've used this phrase before. What we do for children in this community saves their lives. For you people that have been first responders, and there's many of you out there, Bill and Ed and Major Connie Shingledecker and quite a few others, what Major Shingledecker did at the Manatee County Sheriff's Office literally saved children's lives and what she did. And this program ties into exactly what she did at the Sheriff's Office. Do we want to have the governance at this time?
As per the bylaws, this is our third week notifying the club members of an open position on the board of directors for the Bradenton Kiwanis Club. Governance Committee has brought forth Dr. John Mullis as a nomination. At this time, we will open the floor for any other nominations. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Thank you, Mr. Bassett. Do I have a second? Okay, then can I have a motion to accept by unanimous membership approval today for Dr. John Mullis to fill this? Dave Grantham, do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Welcome to the board.
Please enjoy your lunch and fellowship, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back, and we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask Mac, will you come up and introduce our guest?
All right, good afternoon, Bradenton, Kiwanis. It is another great day to be a Kiwanian, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule again to be here and to fellowship and to come and listen to a great program again. Most of our guests today are actually our speakers and guests of our speakers, so I'm going to let somebody else handle them in a little bit. But I do want to recognize Brenda Critchfield. If Brenda would stand up, please. I know, put her on the spot. She is from Avenue 941, which is another nonprofit group, and she heard a lot about us and wanted to stop by and see what was going on. So make her feel welcome. Maybe she'll stick around a little bit longer after today. And I just want to also mention, we do have the Salvation Army angel tree out front there. If you have any questions about how to complete the task and to make a child happy, let me know, or let Ms. French know, and we can guide you through the process. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you. And Mike Baer, do you have an announcement you want to make?
Thank you all for volunteering for some of the events that we have coming up over the next 2 months. In particular, we do need about 12 people on Saturday, November 27th. So that's a Saturday right after Thanksgiving. We're hoping to have some Key Club members show up for the event, and I'm sure some of them will, but we could use your help at that time. And also just check the newsletter that we have and click through to our to be able to sign up online and take a look at that, because we've got Friday and Saturday a couple shifts that are available. But thank you all for doing that. And if anybody we're pretty good for the next couple of months as far as community service events. If anybody has some ideas on where we can put some of our power in the community to make an impact, just let us know. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
And just to follow up with what Jack Powers was saying about the Veterans Day, the doors will open at 11:15, and because we are expecting a lot of people. There is a foundation board meeting today at 5 p.m. here in Kiwanis Hall, and it's going to be also on Zoom. Now, last week I talked to you about our president in 1970, was Jack Shin. And Jack Shin, in World War II, after World War II, he received 3 medals. Who can tell me what the 3 medals were? I haven't heard it yet. Who?
Purple Heart. We got Bronze Star.
Well, there's a Bronze Star. Should I do 2 out of 3? No, I'll do 3. What? What? I'm sorry. Combat? Say that again. 2. Okay. Who's? So I've got one over here and then one over here. So somebody's got to get the 3 because I have a gift certificate to ABC Liquor. So who can get that third? Who can get the 3rd medal?
Good conduct.
What was it? You said it the first time right. What was it?
And he also got good conduct.
That's right, John. I thought you said it earlier. Come on up. I think you got it. Here you go. presidential citation. He said it correctly. So now we can see on the screen it's 1970, 1971, and our president is we're going to talk to, Neil is going to talk to us about the president that served during that time.
I believe someone said the election was rigged over here. All right. Wheeler Leith is our president for 1970 and 71. The first slide. Go ahead. This is a photo of Woolworth in downtown Bradenton on Manatee, right from the courthouse. Fun place to eat lunch. Who remembers eating lunch there? Fair amount of you. Good. All right, next slide. This is a photo of Woolco on Cortez Road. Who remembers Woolco? There we do still have some out there. Cortez Plaza is in the top of the photo. Next slide. This is a photo from Bradenton Herald of Wheeler Leith after being sworn in as our 70-71 president of the club. He was principal of Manatee High School at the time. He becomes the first president who would serve under our new fiscal year. Wheeler was born in Alabama. He was a natural athlete in football, basketball, baseball, and after he graduated from Sardis High School, he attended the University of Alabama. What's the normal thing you're supposed to say after that? Okay. Okay. OH. It's just many different ones on scholarship to play football and basketball. Next slide. This is a photo of the 1941 Crimson Tide football team, which became national champs. Wheeler Leith is number 18, circled on the back row. He was big, played end on offense and defense. One of his assistant coaches was a familiar name, Paul William Bryant, better known as Bear. He also played in the 1942 Rose Bowl. Wheeler was also just as good a basketball player. He played guard and was named All-SEC basketball in 1943. Next slide. After Wheeler graduated with a bachelor's degree in physical education, he enlisted in the Army and served as a paratrooper during World War II. But because he was an athlete, he continued playing football and basketball competitively in the Army, setting records in scoring. After a total of 42 months in the Army, Wheeler was honorably discharged and returned to Alabama to begin his career as a PE teacher and coach at Tuscaloosa High School. This is a headline from 1952 in the Bradenton Herald. Manatee County recognized Wheeler's success as a coach and teacher. After accepting an offer, Wheeler and his family moved to Manatee County, where Wheeler became a PE teacher and coach at Manatee High School. Eventually, he would join the club. Wheeler earned one of the best records at the school in football. During his tenure, he led the Hurricanes to being undefeated in 24 games from 1954 to 57, ranked 5th in the state of Florida, and winning the Western Conference. His record was 89 wins, 29 losses, 6 other, which we'd call a tie, during his term as head coach. Wheeler also had winning seasons at basketball. In 1992, he was inducted into the Florida High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame. All right, does anyone recognize a choate in this photo? It's Chad's grandfather. In 1961, Wheeler becomes principal of Bayshore Junior High School, but returns 2 years later to become principal at Manatee High School. In 75, Wheeler became an administrator with the Manatee County School District, and then in 1982, Governor Bob Graham appointed Wheeler to the school board, where he served until 1984 when he retired. After an outstanding career in education and service to his nation, state, and community, Wheeler died June 8, 1998 at 81 years old. On December 15, Salty, Saul Fleischman, sports director and TV personality, was the guest speaker. Who here remembers Salty Saul? Quite a few. Good. By the end of 1970, the club had a good year, inducting 16 new members, including Reverend Giles Ellsworth Kirkland, Earl Nick Baden, and Scoop Davis. In 1971, the club teams up with the Manatee County School System to sponsor the Manatee County Regional Science Fair. The fair is held each year to encourage children in Manatee and Sarasota counties to explore the world of science. Is this already? You're already there? All right. This is a photo of a young Vernon Desir when he served on the school board. On May 4th, 1971, Vernon Desir was elected as the next president, along with Stan Lujak as president-elect and Jimmy Smith as vice president. Even though Wheeler motivated his athletes to play their best at a high level, his philosophy was to encourage those athletes to become responsible adults and good citizens. And he used that same philosophy in the classroom with other students. Throughout his career and even after he retired, Wheeler continued to be an active member of the club. We'll see you next week when we talk about 1971-72 year. Gilbert?
Thanks, Neil. And in a few months, we'll be talking about Major Connie Shingledecker in the same manner. Maybe we can have her come back and visit with us. I'm excited that this program is being presented here today. As many of you know, I am in the Dependency Division. And so the Dependency Division, of course, is the division where the judge has a lot to do with guardian ad litems that are appointed to cases. And so without any other delay, I want to ask Connie Shingledecker to come on up, and if she will, introduce the other guests and also the program.
Thank you so much. It's really so heartwarming to be back here, and so many emotions when I look around the room and see faces that I haven't seen in a very long time. I do want to introduce my two guests. I will introduce Jeremy more in depth, but we have Jeremy Carter, who is our president of the Children's Guardian Fund, and he's going to speak when I'm done. And we have Svetlana Ivashenko. She is our Children Guardian Fund Executive Director. Thank you. So, good afternoon, and today we're going to take a glimpse into the world of child abuse and neglect in Manatee, Sarasota, and DeSoto County in an attempt to show you a picture of the environments that some children are exposed to and that our child protective investigators and case managers are working in every single day. My hope is that you will be enlightened, moved, and forever committed to our mission to provide resources that fill the basic needs and enrich the lives of children in foster care and state care in Florida's 12th Judicial Circuit. This is no easy thing to say, but the work we do every day in Child Protective Services is saving children's lives. 1,041 lives, to be specific, have been saved. That's the total number of children in the 12th Judicial Circuit Court under the court's jurisdiction and supervision in foster homes, group homes, or with relatives right now. So those lives are being saved right now. But there have been thousands before them. Manatee has 679 children in care, Sarasota 395, DeSoto 66. We will look at the top 5 maltreatments that make up most of the reports in child removals, starting with physical abuse. In April of 2018, this Bradenton man was charged with killing his 3-month-old son. The mother left the baby with Uvo, the father, while she went to the nail salon. Uvo returned about 15 minutes later, frantic, saying to the mother, "You gotta go, you gotta go." And when she did, went out to the car, she found their son was lifeless. He later died of head trauma. Uvo left the area when the mother called 911 because he had 3 outstanding arrest warrants, and he didn't want to be caught. Fortunately, they located him the next day, and he was charged with child homicide. Eduardo Posa spent his final days starved and chained in a motel bathroom in Indiana. The boy had attended Mayaca Elementary, where he was withdrawn from school in December of 2018. The family left Florida to work as promoters for a traveling circus. There are 3 other children, ages 9, 5, and 2, were placed with Child Protective Services and appeared to be healthy. So he was a targeted child. This 8-year-old Manatee County boy was beaten and starved. He was rescued from abusive caregivers, and the photos show the heartwarming transformation that took place over a 7-month period after being placed in a protective environment. These are powerful reminders of the important work we do every day, the important work that we have been doing in the more than 3,241 cases of child abuse and neglect that have been investigated in Manatee County in 2020. Physical abuse cases like this one accounted for 16% of Manatee's verified reports. Inadequate supervision was our third leading cause of child removals in 2020. Leaving a child without adult supervision appropriate for their age, mental, or physical condition accounted for about 14% of the cases that were investigated. Environmental hazards are situations where a child is permitted to live in an environment that causes or creates a significant risk of impairment of the child's physical, mental, or emotional health due to the actions or non-actions of the caregiver. This can include hazardous conditions, inadequate shelter, clothing, or food. Yeah, the photo on the right is a mother changing this child's diaper on an ironing board while I was standing there, believe it or not. So I thought, if you're that dumb, I'm going to take a picture of it. So, and then the little boy, if you can see him in the distance, he was often boarded up in a trailer with these pieces of plywood to keep him confined. Family violence threatens child is our second highest maltreatment. Over 27% of our 2020 reports, an adult who is a family or household member commits assault or battery on another adult who is a family or household member that demonstrates a wanton disregard for a child and could reasonably result in injury to that child. Many children exposed to domestic violence suffer post-traumatic stress disorder, like living in a war zone. And you're going to hear a few minutes of a 911 call from a 6-year-old child named Lisa.
What's the standing emergency?
My mommy and daddy are having a fight.
Is she hitting her?
What? I'm talking to the police, Mommy. Stop it! Mommy! Stop it! Don't take the baby! Stop it! You're gonna hurt the baby! Stop it! Could you just send the police, please?
Okay, we're going to be there. Who's taking your baby?
Stop it! No! Drea, shut up!
Let me talk to you. Where's your mom?
What?
What's going on?
They're having a fight because this has been going on forever and ever. They always have this because he has a cousin. He's always drinking beer and getting drunk. And Mom.
What's his name? What is his name? Your father's name?
Pierre.
Pierre?
Yeah.
What's his last name?
I don't know, but
He's your father?
he's my stepfather.
Okay, how old is he?
I don't know.
Does he have any weapons?
No. But he's hurting Mommy.
How's he hurting her?
He made his mommy.
Okay, don't cry. We're going to send the police.
Okay.
Okay, now where's your mother at right now?
She's in the room fighting with them.
Do you have a little baby sister?
No, I got baby brother.
Is he trying to take your baby brother?
Baby.
He's trying to take your baby?
Yeah, because Mama's not drunk. He thinks he's drunk because he can't say nothing because he's drunk. My stepdaddy's drunk.
Are they in a room fighting? Where are they at now?
They're in the room still.
They're in the bedroom?
Yeah, I don't want him to do nothing strange with the baby because if they drop, he's a newborn baby. He's very delicate.
What do you mean do anything strange? What do you think he's going to do to your baby?
I think he's going to take the baby and do something because he's drunk. He might not see the baby and go off without the baby if he takes it.
How old are you?
I'm 6 and my little sister's 4.
You're 6-year-old? You're 6?
Yeah, and I'm in first grade. My sister's in kindergarten.
Okay, what is your name? What is your name?
Lisa. My sister's name is Drea.
Okay, so what role did this child take on? She's the caregiver. She's the one calling the police. She's the one trying to protect. And at such an unbelievably young age. Do you think that's the first time she's ever been exposed to that? No. This has been going on forever and ever, she says. It's not very often that we get to hear what it sounds like to a child, and that would have been a misdemeanor battery. In the presence of children makes it a felony, though. So, and the fact is, he took that infant and fled in a car. Do you think he put that child in a car seat, that infant? So that infant in a car with a drunk driver fleeing becomes a missile if he slams the brakes on. So it's just a very dangerous circumstance. This is from a case that I worked many years ago. This was a school project. The child was asked, he's 7 years old, he was asked to draw a picture of something that had happened at his home. He drew this picture and the teacher said, "Is this real?" And he said, "Yes, this happened on his birthday where the father held a gun to the mother's head. I find it interesting that she has no arms and legs in this picture." So the effects of the domestic violence is very traumatic to children. It really affects their ability to learn and to develop emotionally. It's a learned behavior, and children exposed to domestic violence can learn how to be abusers and how to be victims. Substance misuse is our #1 reported maltreatment, resulting in 30% of our verified reports, and it covers 3 areas: parents as caregivers inappropriately using drugs or alcohol, a child inappropriately consuming or being given drugs or alcohol, and substance-exposed newborns. So, how did we get here? Substance abuse is at the heart of most of our child maltreatments that result in children being sheltered in both Manatee and Sarasota counties. Before we implemented the pill mill legislation to regulate the prescribing of pain pills, Florida had 98 of the top 100 oxycodone prescribers nationwide. In 2009, there were more pill mills in Broward County than there were McDonald's restaurants. Amazing. And Florida was the main supplier to all the other states. This slide shows from January to June, only 6 months of 2010, Florida dispensed 41,285,772 oxycodone. This brought crime and drug-addicted people to our state. If you're wondering, how did we get where we got to, that's how we got there. We are #1. Ohio was #2. They're the far left with not a very high number. So this is showing the top 10 states, and then the one closest to the Florida is all the remaining 40 states. So as you can see, this is how Florida ended up with the problem that we now have and we're still fighting. Sarasota and Manatee County were not immune from the effects of prescription medication abuse. There were so many infants being born drug dependent, Sarasota had to assign child protective investigators to the NICU unit. So what took the place of the pain pills when we did shut down the distribution of them? Heroin. It has no currently accepted medical treatment or use in the United States. Today, it's 80 to 100% pure. It's a bargain compared to the other drugs like cocaine or opiate-based prescription pills. Today, the street value cost of a single pain pill can purchase multiple hits of heroin. And not just any heroin will do. If you're watching the newspapers, reading the newspapers, heroin laced with fentanyl is preferred. Fentanyl has a high potent potential for abuse, is commonly used as a treatment for chronic pain and as an anesthetic. It's approximately 80 to 100 times more potent than morphine and 40 to 50 times more potent than 100% pure heroin. Mixing fentanyl with street-sold heroin or cocaine amplifies their potency and potential dangers. There are consequences that then come with that. It's the overdoses. So Manatee County, this is showing the opioid overdose deaths in 2018, 2019, and January through June of 2020. And then the overdose deaths related to other drugs. These are non-fatal overdoses. Fortunately, we're able to give Narcan, which is bringing a lot of people back. Our police agencies routinely now have Narcan and administer the nasal spray. So you can see the number of non-fatal EMS responses, and that doesn't even count the walk-ins to the hospital or those that are driven to the hospital. So opioids and other drugs. This is an expensive situation for us as well. If you go to purchase Narcan, which you can over the counter, it's $130 for a small box. So this is the face of substance abuse, and although Narcan can bring you back, it's not going to save the ravages of drug abuse on some folks. It's the #1 cause for removal of children in Manatee County, substance misuse. And this is just showing you the removals. So we have a high number of children that are being removed. The majority are under the age of 5. And I'm going to give you some examples of how children get impacted by the fact that their parents may be overdosing. In February of 2015, in a motel room, the dad was seizing and dying of heroin and crystal meth overdose. The mom left her children in the room to call for help, so she left them with the father that was overdosing. The mom was positive for antidepressants, go figure, cocaine, marijuana, and amphetamines. And these are not super young people. The dad is 27, the mom is 28, and their children are ages 2 and 4. In May of that year, backyard overdose, this person's life was saved by the waste management truck driver that was driving around picking up the garbage. He saw this man overdosing and collapsing in the backyard, and he ran to his aid. He was 30, the dad was 37, the mom is 37, the children are 1.5 and 3 months. The dad OD'd in January, February, March of 2015 and was brought back through Narcan. The mom was positive for cocaine and had just shot up. Dad tried to use the child's urine for drug tests in some of those previous instances. Parents that expose their children to harm when they're using and are impaired, they neglect their children because they're not emotionally and physically present to raise their kid. They're not reading them the stories that you read at night. They're focused on when they're going to get their next fix. So these children, when they're neglected, we're having kids that are drowning, that are infants that are dying from suffocation overlays by folks that are impaired. In one prescription medication abuse, a newborn infant and a 2-year-old were removed from their mother when both she and the baby tested positive for narcotics at the hospital when the child was born. 3 months later, the mother attended a meeting to determine what her progress was so impaired that she kept falling asleep. When the discussion turned to her substance abuse, she proudly presented copies of her prescriptions from several doctors for pain medications, totaling 900 pills per month, 30 a day. Despite having prescriptions, there was no possible way that she could safely care for those 2 children. She never regained custody, and the children were eventually adopted. Neonatal abstinence syndrome or substance-exposed newborns. I don't know how many of you have heard those terms, but Manatee and Sarasota do suffer from these children being born substance dependent. We don't call them addicted because in order to be addicted, there has to be a mental component. But at birth, when they in utero were surrounded by the drugs that the mom was taking, we call them drug dependent. I want you to hear the inconsolable crying of a child that is withdrawing from an opioid situation. So that baby cannot be consoled, and I pray for the nurses that deal with them every day. Just such a tragic situation. These are some of the numbers from our substance-exposed newborns. And the reason I presented both Sarasota and Manatee County is because in Manatee County, we do drug test all mothers that are delivering. In Sarasota, they don't. They use some other method of making a determination of who they're going to drug test. But these parents will go back and forth to different hospitals in hopes that they won't be detected. So I think it's important for you to recognize that we have an expensive problem. Those babies are kept sometimes for weeks or a month or longer while they are going through their withdrawal. So there are other issues related to drug sales, like home invasion robberies. In a home invasion robbery case that I handled many years ago, the parents were tied up, had water thrown on them, and were shocked with a taser while they were being asked, where's the money and where's the drugs? The children were made to sit on the couch and watch this. This is not so recent any longer, but back in 2015, 2016, recent home invasion robbery in Bradenton, July of 2015. The parents that were selling drugs were shot and killed in front of their children. This happened on Southern Parkway. Their 4 children, the youngest child, an infant, and the oldest, 11, was sleeping on the couch in the living room when that occurred. So weapons and drugs become accessible to children. Drug search warrants can be a very traumatic event for a child that may be in the home when we are serving search warrants. We're masked up. In many instances, if there are dangerous chemicals, you'll see them fully masked up with oxygen. This can affect children living in the home. CPS are present in our county during all drug search warrants done by the Manatee Sheriff's Office when the children are known to be in the home. And we do try to do them when the children should be in school or not present. But there are some kids that are not school-aged that may still be there. Meth labs in the home can have chemicals found in the home that can be toxic. They can cause serious burns or injuries. This was a North Florida case. The father lied about what the injuries to this child were, said that it was water burn when in fact it was a chemical burn. And so they were treating this child for a water burn when in the reality this child was suffering from a chemical burn. It was very painful until they got the information and were able to appropriately treat the child. So it can cause removal from home. Children have to be decontaminated. Medical and behavioral examinations have to take place. They lose everything, all of the possessions, because they're contaminated with the toxic chemicals that are in that home, clothing, toys, etc., and separated from caregivers. You've heard about the top 5 most common maltreatments that we investigate in our judicial circuit. Most of our cases have multiple or co-occurring maltreatments. The most common trifecta: substance abuse, family violence, and inadequate supervision. And as a result of the high number of cases where child danger cannot be ameliorated, over 679 children are being sheltered in Manatee County year to date, and 1,041 children are currently in care in our judicial circuit. Jeremy Carter, who is our Children Guardian Fund president and member for the past 6 years, is a retired high school principal and an international school and worked in international schools. He's a guardian at Litem volunteer and has been such for 13 years. Jeremy's going to come up, and I promise you I will show some happy photos before this ends, so you're going to get to see a happier note what these children, how their lives are changed. So Jeremy, if you would like to come up and speak a little bit about how the Children's Guardian Fund.
Thank you, Connie. The Children's Guardian Fund is a non-profit, a charity. It was founded in November 1995, and for the past 26 years, we've been providing funding to meet the emergency needs and also to enable normalcy and enrichment in the lives of children in the foster and state care system of Florida's 12th Judicial Circuit. That 12th Judicial Circuit, I'm sure most of you know, is the counties of Sarasota, Manatee, and DeSoto. Now, many of you will be familiar with the Guardian Ad Litem volunteer program. That's a state-run program with professional salaried staff that relies on volunteer child advocates to speak for the children in court. As Connie said, I had a long career as an educator in international schools around the world. When I retired and I came to Florida, I wanted to keep working with kids, so I volunteered, and I got trained, and I became a volunteer. I've still got one case ongoing. When the volunteer identifies a need which can be supported by our charity, the Children's Guardian Fund, that volunteer goes online to our website and puts in a request, can you please provide this, that, or the other for the kid. This morning I was in Walmart at about, as soon as it opened, 7 o'clock I think. I dropped my wife off at the gym, and I was buying bicycle parts for a 16-year-old who's in a group home in Palmetto. He's got this bike, had a flat tire, didn't have a lock, didn't have a helmet, didn't have a pump, so I was getting that for him. And tomorrow I'll be going over to see him after he comes out of school and getting his bike fixed up. That's the kind of little thing we can do. But overall, what does normalcy and enrichment mean? Imagine one of these kids, if you will, suddenly abruptly removed from a parent's home because of abuse, neglect, or abandonment. That's not a step the Department of Children and Families takes lightly. The state intervenes in such situations only in order to keep the child safe. Where does the child go? If possible, a family member is found who can take care of the child or children into their home or his or her home. Often this means that grandparents find themselves parenting for a second time around. They could already be struggling to make ends meet for themselves. They don't get financial support from the state for this extra child they've taken in. If a family member cannot be found to take the child, then the child may be placed in a licensed foster home or in a group home. These placements do provide the basics of a bed, meals, and a safe environment, but do not have the means to provide anything else. The Children's Guardian Fund provides for sheltered children of all ages, from newborn to 18 years, and those who've gone through independent living process, we even support them into young adulthood. We provide cribs for babies moved to a new home in the middle of the night, as well as beds for older children. We provide clothing for the new school year, and for a lot of our kids, this is the first time they've ever had new clothing of their own. We provide running shoes, football cleats, and clothing and uniforms for the kids to participate in their school sports. We provide the cost of participation in after-school programs and summer camps. We provide graduation costs and clothes for the school prom. One of my best experiences as a volunteer was working with a teenager who actually, as an adult, she spoke at our lunch 2 years ago. I had to recruit my wife when she was graduating from high school. I said, I've got this girl who's graduating high school. We've got to go and buy her a prom dress. And my wife, you are definitely coming with me to help me do this, okay? So we got her all fixed up for the prom. Now, we provide all these and a vast variety of other things, the kind of things we'd expect children in traditional, stable family environments to have. But the kids we serve, they don't have. For the past 18 months, our main focus has been on academic support. These children often come from homes where academic success is not valued. Going to school isn't prioritized. They suffer from frequent disruption to their education, as a change of placement usually also means a change of school. And the impact of the coronavirus pandemic has been massive for these children. Remote learning has been a huge, huge challenge for them. We have 2 programs providing academic support. First of all, we provide academic tutoring for children who have fallen behind their grade level. This is currently our largest program and is proving to be a major benefit for these kids. I think since we started it a few years ago, we're up to our 460th child receiving tutoring. We also provide laptop computers to help them study. We accept laptops, gifts. If you've got an old laptop you're not using, please let us know. We can use it. We'll get it refurbished. We'll get it wiped clean. It's totally safe. I think I've now given my 3rd one to this process, and I've never had a problem. There's a group down in Sarasota, the Refurb Project. They install new software, and we can give this to the kids so they can do their homework at home. They can get online, and when they're doing remote classes, they can do remote classes. The Children's Guardian Fund is managed by an all-volunteer board. I've got the privilege currently of serving as board president. We have 2 dedicated, hard-working employees, one of whom is here today, Svetlana, thank you. Because of that, our admin costs are kept very, very low. We're great bang for your buck as a charity. Of every dollar we are given, 86 cents gets to the kids. We have a 5-star rating on Charity Navigator. If you don't know Charity Navigator, that's a website which analyzes and looks at the success of charities and good value for money. We don't have our board members flying around on executive jets to the Bahamas. Okay, I drove myself here today from East Manatee. How do we get our money? We rely on local foundation grants and donations from organizations and individuals to enable us to operate our programs. Connie showed you the kind of situations we have to react to, and I hope I've been able to give you the big picture of exactly how we work. Thank you for the invitation, for having us speak to you today, and thank you for the lovely lunch.
The Guardian ad Litem office here in Manatee County would be the best place to drop those off. The Guardian ad Litem volunteers can then go in and pick out the items that would match for their child.
Where's that located? It's in the Judicial Center.
It's on the 3rd floor of the courthouse.
But you got to go by where, you got to follow the signs to probation to get on it. Okay.
That's probably the easiest way to support our mission. With 2 employees, we're able to respond to the specific needs, so we don't buy stuff or store it. We've got 400 square feet. So a check is the easiest way we can go out and pay for the tutoring, or we can buy a birthday gift card, and the child will have the privilege of choosing their own gift rather than someone assuming what they want.
Website,
And
childrensguardianfund.org.
yes, childrensguardianfund.org is the website. You can go online and make a donation there.
I'm not sure you mentioned it. You are a 501c3 organization, correct?
Yes, we're a 501c3.
Yes, donations to us are tax deductible.
Lori, the laws are there. It's enforcing them. They're there. And the first responders and our law enforcement, the laws are there there. And that's all I'll say anymore as being a judge. But the laws are there. There are established laws there. So I do want to ask Jeremy, come on up. As you know, we have to give them a golden ruler to measure their future success. But I do want to mention one thing. There are things that you can do, and Connie has shown us these cases. These are not just a few cases. She did not show us the exceptions. These are the cases that I deal with and they deal with. But I do want to say that besides the things you can do for the Guardian Fund, there's volunteer. And in our midst, in our crowd, Jack Powers, would you stand up? Jack is a volunteer guarding ad litem, and at this time. And there's not many other volunteer positions that are much harder than dealing with the cases that they deal with. So at this time, let me hand all of you a golden ruler. I'm sure Connie's got a few to measure your future success. And thank you for being here. And, you know, we'll hear more about this. This is our 99th year of Kiwanis. This Guardian Fund is a program which is worthwhile. And I hope we see them more as we celebrate this year. I know Connie's going to get invited back for many things. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to any other guests that were here. Our next meeting is going to be our Veterans program. There's going to be a lot of people. Get here early. The doors open at 11:15. We hope we're going to see you there. And have a great day and the rest of your week. So we are going to be adjourned.